the announcement page, so I'll call you.
Okay.
All right. Any additional comments? All right, I'm going to close public comments.
I have a comment, actually. Melanie Whiteley, Penguin Road. I was looking ahead in the agenda, and I see that you have a resolution on here to make the offices in Town Hall private. Could you explain to us why you plan to do that, and what a disabled or elderly person is supposed to do if they come to this building and need to sit in the office to discuss certain things? It doesn't seem as though a lot of thought has gone into this. An example would be someone who's elderly who has to come in to do their STAR application, discussing their income, and they would be forced to discuss their income in the lobby of the town hall, according to this resolution. Somebody comes in for a marriage license, or they have to do a death certificate, those are vital records. Those are very important documents. Those should not be discussed in the public lobby of town hall. They should be allowed to be in the town clerk's office to take care of those things. Somebody who wants to put up a building and wants to discuss building project of any type, now they have to discuss that project with Dan in the lobby of town hall. Maybe they don't want the public knowing how much they're spending to put on their house. So if somebody comes in town hall with any of those examples, just per se, they have to call you and get written permission to go in the office? They have to wait in the lobby until that happens, or
Well, actually, if you,
why are we doing this?
well, not that I want to get in back and forth, but I'll take the exception here. So if we look at the second paragraph and read through the paragraph, should there be a valid business requirement for Princetown town employee or a Princetown elected official to conduct business with persons other than Princetown town employees or Princetown elected officials in the Princetown office, then they are responsible for supervising the non-town employees at all times and ushering non-town employees out of the public. So saying you're going to usher them in and usher them out.
So your resolution is contradicting itself. That's,
I don't think
in the
so.
beginning, you're saying that you have to have written permission from you as a buildings and grounds person, facility manager. And then at the bottom, you're saying, well, it's okay, the employees or the elected officials are allowed to have. It's fine, I just think that the residents of this town own this building. That's who owns this building, and the residents of this town have hired all of you to work and put the best interest of them in mind. And now you're not allowing them to use this building as that. You're saying they're not allowed in the offices, and that is part of it. I think you should think over these things before you try to pass this.
All right, thanks for your input. Additional comments? All right, we're going to close the public comments at 8:42. Let's open this up to the public hearings. So we have an ongoing, or still open, public hearing on the solar panels. I don't know if there's additional comments on solar panels.
I have a question. They were saying before that this is like a 20-year process
20-year power purchase.
for the purchase.
20-year power purchase.
Okay, so over the course of 20 years, I mean, most of us aren't even gonna be here in 20 years.
Oh,
Well, you know what I mean. I mean, most of us, come on, you know what I'm saying? Easy now, you know what I mean. Come on, you know what I mean? Hypothetically.
all right. I
Hypothetically.
think we understand the point.
I mean, it's a long time.
It's true.
Now, this is federally funded or state funded?
Oh. So,
Because here's my concern, and I may be way off base. If it's federally funded, or even state funded for that matter,
Well,
it is both? Okay. What if they pull the rug out from underneath you and say these funds are no longer available? Then what do we do?
well, there's no money, there's no cost to the town, zero.
But if they're no longer gonna be involved in it, what happens?
Then we own it. We own the solar, and we don't have to pay them at all. All this comes ours.
So we just gain ownership then, at no cost.
That's no cost. So,
This is no cost to the town on any of this project.
Well, I'm just curious, like I said, if the funding was pulled out of it,
And
What
once the
happens
funding is in, once the funding is in, it's done with. Once the funding is in to pay the purchase of the equipment, which they're gonna purchase, then it's done with. And then we'll just be paying them at a discounted rate of up to probably, could be up to 30%, could be 20, 25, whatever the system will produce. Am I correct in saying that, Joe?
And the thing about it, when you say funding, the federal and state give incentives. It's not a funding, it's
Okay.
incentives to do so. And so New York Light Energy will take advantage of those incentives, thereby reducing its capital outlay. It's a business transaction for them. We see a reduction in our electrical bill because the panels that we're gonna have are gonna be producing energy.
and that's also for the heat too, right? Or just,
Sure. I mean,
just electric?
if you have electric heat, then it would be.
Then
Is that what's here is electric heat?
No.
Oh.
Although you
You're
never
gonna
have
have
any
hot light
lights.
days, whatever you,
It's about 100 here.
you want to, you want me to turn around?
That was all, that was my question.
So we don't see any funding, right? It goes to the contractor. We just sign the agreement. And at the end of it, if they go out of business, unless somebody else buys them, then they pick up our contract. If they say they do go out of business, then the facilities become ours.
So we'll never kind of really be left holding the bag to come up with a bunch
That's
of...
why we have our brilliant Mr. Clavis here to make sure that that does not happen.
Lou, you mentioned no cost to the town, and I know what you mean by that, but there's some for the engineer drawings up front, right?
Yes, yes, there was some.
Little bit.
I think we, resolution last month, or the agenda meeting, $1,000 to engineer drawings, which actually helped in situating some of the panels.
This is really a win-win for the town, it really is, and for the water department too. If you can make that work, it looks like you can.
More thoughts on solar? I think, well, just to give an update on everybody, to everybody, we've already, I think we're getting close to submitting the final drawings.
yes.
Um,
In fact, Doug, we had a meeting with Doug, George, and Mark Richardson from New York Light Energy. And the updated survey drawings from CT Mail that they did of this site plan of our town hall. Doug situated the panels at the back corner of our parking lot here. And that is good for New York Light Energy because it's a relatively short run to the end of the building here. They'll have the inverter. And the only thing that's pending, well, I sent the updated sketches to Dan Marciniak. He would then reject them or accept them, issue a building permit or not. If he doesn't, then it goes to the zoning board of appeals. The planning board is going to be looking at it this Thursday, right, Beth?
Yeah, we're gonna do site plan review and seeker on it this Thursday.
So, you know, the wheels are turning. There's only one detail that needs to be finalized. And I spoke with Doug Thorpe at Doug Cole's suggestion, because Doug Thorpe was the general contractor for the building of this building and putting in the septic system and everything. And he suggested, I asked him if he remembered where the exit pipe, or the pipe that actually goes into the septic field is. He says he has some photographs. And between photographs and his memory, that we should be able to go down, do an exploratory dig, and then convince New York Light Energy, okay, yeah, you know, they will be so far away from that pipe so that the ballast for the system won't damage our septic system in any way. That's the final detail. And I'd say that we're, by the end of this week, we should have the,
And I think we're pretty good on contract.
Yeah. Conversation with their attorneys and find out a few details.
I might add, it might be a little bit late to start this project this year.
well, Mark Richardson did not, he thought that, he really likes the location here. At the well pump, or the pump house on Waynesburg Road. You know, it's a go, as long as the zoning board of appeals gives us a variance.
And we don't need anything for the Gilbert Church.
Giffords Church is a non-conforming lot, which means a lot of things, but where the panels are proposed is going to be, it's going to be up to the code enforcement officer and the planning board to decide. But it looks like we're real close to a go on Giffords Church Road. So,
All right. Any other thoughts from the floor on solar?
Just a quick question, are there planned intervals for New York Light Energy and or the town to deliver an update as to the success of this project as it rolls out, 6 months, 12 months? I know it's a 20-year project or a 20-year contract, but I think people would be interested to see
Savings?
the savings over time.
We were looking at putting a monitor in the lobby here, as some of the solar companies have done, to show what your power usage was and what your savings were. I don't know if we're still planning on doing that or not. We'd have to put that in ourselves. There's some of the other companies do it.
yeah, but that's more like eye candy. you
Yes,
know.
it is. But just to so people as they came in could see.
That's, yeah. But I mean, in terms of actually calculating our savings, it's going to depend what time of the year it is, what our usage is in the buildings. You know, in the summertime, we're going to get a lot of production, so our costs will be down. We're using the air conditioning. So the air conditioning, your usage is up, so it's a constant balancing act, and it's just going to take time for us to keep records and say, okay, this is what our bill was last year, the same building, you know, we have different weather patterns, but, so I think it's going to be, we're just going to have to do like periodic reports. And I think New York Light Energy will be able to help us on that, and gathering the data and putting together, but I think that's a good point, Robert. That,
Just real numbers, I mean, not
Yeah.
marketing, not.
right.
I mean, the
Fluff,
per unit
not-
rate comparison between what we're gonna be paying and what the going rate through National Grid is an easy comparison, regardless of the fluctuation of our usage. So we should be able to, you know, regardless of our usage, demonstrate the savings that we're paying per unit compared to National Grid.
Because we already have a history of what we've been paying back to the only years.
Right,
I know we're on, I know
See
we're
that
on
trend
a
going
demand.
down would be good.
right.
I know we're on a demand meter, with over 2,000 kilowatts, which puts you in a demand meter, which is a time use meter. And we should be able to come off of that. It takes 12 months to come off of that, so then we should see a reduction anyway in what our cost per kilowatt is, if I'm not mistaken.
I have a question. Aren't you gonna, sorry, but with the hours changing here, aren't you gonna see a decrease in usage as well? Because it's not somebody's not here every day, so you're not like using as much anyway, so you'll see that little bit of decrease
It's gonna be, the really easy answer is this percentage. So if
overall.
every week, every month, you know, they're gonna go at a percentage of what, you know, the national grid would have been, so.
The more light there is, the more energy it's producing, the larger the cost savings would be to us.
Okay, I'm ready.
I've got one quick question for you. But I'm gonna say Lou, just because I know you have the big side yard, and I have a big backyard in my property. Does the board also encourage residential to maybe look into this at all?
I didn't
Or would that be a,
So actually, Joe has put panels on his house.
I know Joe already has, but I'm
This
talking
company-
about moving forward. I just said you, Lou, because you got the side yard, you'd be
Yeah.
able to turn it to the
This
south.
company doesn't do residential.
No, I'm just saying, but the whole thing is you're looking at this company to do here, but there is residential and thing, and would the town encourage that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Which I'm
Yes.
100% behind that.
I know Joe has it on his home, and
Yeah, because
this-
I think it's a great way to, you know.
he can tell you what his
ultimately-
cost savings are. He showed me in the summertime, his meters,
Yeah,
Well, see, for residential customers like me, National Grid puts in a net meter.
well, I know you're laying it out, and I know, I looked into that already, so I know what you're
net meter
talking
is.
about, yeah.
So if we're not home and the sun is out, my meter's running backwards.
Right.
Now,
Yeah,
at
you
night,
feed
when I
it back.
turn the lights on and we take a shower and do all that, well, now the meter, we're not making any electricity from the
Right.
solar panels because it's dark.
Right.
So now the meter's going back.
You're either selling it to or buying from them. I understand
Yeah,
how
and
that
it's
works.
not dollars, it's kilowatt hours.
Yeah,
You know, so it's really kind of a,
ultimately it's dollars, because that's how they go.
yeah, I mean, it works. It really does work.
Yeah.
So,
But as far as the town providing, it's not an incentive, I mean, they would encourage anybody to find alternate ways to have energy in their homes, but the incentives actually come from your state.
not sure.
Well, no, the main reason I was asking, and I can appreciate this, is because I heard them saying zoning this, zoning that, get approval here, get approval there, so I was wondering what the town view was on the whole thing.
It's, you know, it's
So I'd like to
an
say-
accessory structure, like the panels that we're gonna have here are ground mount, and it's kind of like buying a shed from Home Depot. You know, it's not, I mean, these panels can be moved, but they're structures. And they call it an accessory structure. So our zoning laws say for accessory structures, they have to be so far from the lot line, and there's a whole bunch of rules. So we're imposing